Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 92 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that two of them still think doing a podcast called Digital Watches are a pretty neat idea is a pretty neat idea. These podcasters have, or rather had, a problem, which was this. Actually, this is the solution.
Two men, two amazingly primitive men, thought this was a pretty neat idea. They were dreamers, thinkers, speculative philosophers, or as their wives would have it, idiots.
Hey, Bryan, what's this?
Well, Jeff, this is our review of the BBC radio broadcast of the book by Terry Jones, Starship Titanic. It was released in 2021.
Right. And it was directed by Dirk Maggs.
I saw that. I was so excited when I saw that. Well, I should say saw it because I didn't look at it. but I did hear it at the very end of the broadcast, yes.
Yes. And it was adapted, though, by Ian Billings.
Okay.
And do you think they fixed it?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know how much of the review we want to do about my overall impression until we get to the end.
Yeah, we could do that.
I think there's a significantly better program here than perhaps the book represents it.
Right. Well, there are a couple heavy hitters in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
We have Simon Jones, who is Dirk Gent, who's Arthur Dent from the TV show and the radio play, and he's also the holographic recording in the movie of the Magrathea missile launcher.
Right.
And the surprise for me was Michael Palin is the Encyclopedia Galactica, and I did not recognize his voice even knowing it was him.
Yeah, and you know what I was thinking? And I agree with you. I was surprised by his voice. And I think it's because, oh gosh, I mean, if you think about it, 2021 is not that long ago, just 3 years ago. And you and I were enjoying Monty Python, close to 40 years ago now.
Yes, right.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So the young man we knew of Michael Palin is a little older now, and he was older than even we are. So,
right. Yes.
I think its age has caught up with his voice.
I think it has as well. One of the things I found interesting about this production is that the way it's put together, to me, does not convey a feeling of time passing. Like, this entire thing seemed like it was in real time, and it all happened in an hour.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed as well when I was listening to it. It seemed to transcend any block of time, and they didn't even make any effort to indicate time had passed.
No.
And, I know it would have to be narrative because, of course, they would have to say 2 days later, or some kind of announcer or something, but they really did not make any attempt at seeming like it wasn't continuous.
Right. And thinking back on what you were saying about the book, and then having this concept in here of no time passing, made me think of a possible way to make the story work better in my mind. Because the way they have it with this existence failure, but the ship never not existing, is a problem.
Right. It is.
But if they go to the launch and it disappears, and they say something like, 5,000 years later, it just rematerializes in the universe. So it didn't exist for 5,000 years, then pops in the universe. The story would be different because they could not go back to where it was built. It would be a completely different story, but it would have had a non-existence.
Right.
And it doesn't. It could be 500 years. It doesn't have to be 5,000. But
right.
But you understand what I'm trying to get at. That
Yeah,
if you want it to not exist,
right.
have it not exist.
Yes, exactly. There's well, clearly the story is similar to the story we know in the book. So the fact that the major actors, the Arsacans and the Brontians, both know where the ship is and are able to find it almost immediately.
Right.
After it fails to exist, indicates that it never really failed to exist. And there, so that whole Sneck thing, which I think it would have been funny if they said snark or smurf.
Yes.
Its sudden massive existence failure. They should have slid a R in there, so to make it smurf.
Right. Or what I'm thinking now is maybe this is some strange usage of the phrase existence failure of which I wasn't previously aware.
Very subtle. Very subtle. I like that.
So I have kind of a problem with the opening line.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's start off with a bang.
In my logical mind of the chronology of the Starship Titanic that I may or may not have discerned from studying with Professor Urban Chronotis, the Regis Professor of Chronology at St. Sed's, or as he's better known, Reg,
right,
is that it was built, it was launched, it disappeared, and it reappeared on Earth.
Right.
So the opening line is, the intriguing and altogether bizarre story of the Starship Titanic began not, as many believed, at the launch ceremony on the planet Bloranton. Prior to the incident with which the ship became synonymous, it began on a somewhat inconsequential planet. So the story begins on Earth. Where does the story begin? In our show here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think you're gonna hate the semantics of it. So hold on for 1 second.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me listen to something. Okay. So here's what you're gonna hate about what I'm about to say.
Okay. If you can make sense of this, I'll be happy.
Okay. He says in the beginning of the story, he says, the intriguing and bizarre story of the Starship Titanic. So, in essence, he's saying that not just the story of the Titanic, the Starship Titanic, but the one that's intriguing and bizarre. This is a different story that's related to the Titanic ship, but it's not the story. It's the bizarre story of it. Are you following?
Right. Yes.
So he's making a distinction
it's the bizarre
between...
story.
Right. He's making a distinction of the mere fact that it existed and disappeared from this. Okay, well, that was an exciting story, but this one is the bizarre story that started on Earth.
Okay, I'll 100% agree with you.
Okay.
Then start the story with the hotel that gets crushed.
Yes. You're right.
Don't start at the launch ceremony.
Right, exactly.
You just told us that that's not where it starts.
Right.
But then they start at the launch ceremony where they could have found a way to start the story on Earth and then do a previously on.
Right, exactly. You're right, exactly. No, I agree. It was bizarre that they wrote it that way, but I kind of understand what they're trying to say here,
The video game starts on Earth. There is none of the other background.
Right. And you know what? I think that the other thing that we'll discuss probably in detail here at the end of, well, I mean, so we'll start now. This BBC broadcast is more in line with the video game than it is in line with the book.
Okay. I didn't put that together, but I'm not going to say it's not, because I didn't look at it that way, but all I know is that I think there's only one dead body of one of maybe Squareleontis in the video game because he was clogging up the succubus.
Right. Yes.
But other than that, none of this other stuff is there with the launch ceremony.
Well, you're right. It isn't. It isn't.
But the speed of the story is more in line with the video game, definitely.
Right. And there's some other details I'll try to hold off till the end. You know, I'm really good at holding it off to the end, aren't I?
Oh, hold on. After I go through this whole thing, they do start the story on Earth. They do introduce Lucy and Dan and everybody before they go to the launch ceremony.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to believe in your bizarre semantic do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I hated doing it, but that's the only way that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. It does. And it does seem strange to do it that way, but now I have to try and, even though I have in my notes where it's starting here with Lucy, Nigel, Dan, and Nettie, because it's so fast. It's like they introduce the characters and then it's off to the launch ceremony.
It's split second. It's a split second.
So all semantics aside and the chronology of everything, the story does actually start with an introduction of the people on Earth. It starts with Lucy, Nigel, Dan, and Nettie, and they're at this old rectory, soon-to-be hotel. And in very quick succession, we learn that Nigel is a lech, and Nettie takes her picture of the hotel at night. And that Dan and Lucy are buying the hotel to live out their life as owners of a wonderful B&B or something like that.
Well, you know, now that you've said that, now you've itched a different thought in my brain, which is that you were correct in what you just said. It's the timeline. Because the Nettie and Dan thing did happen before the launch.
Yes.
Just like you just said. So, you know, so maybe he's right in that the chronological time frame of the story started with Nettie and Dan and then went to the launch, just like it does in the radio show.
Right. And I'm not really trying to defend myself here, but
no, I agree.
I write all of my notes as I'm listening to it. And knowing the story of the book and the story of how the ship got built, which happened long before, because that's a big part of the book.
Right.
Is the building of the ship, the cost cutting, the unwed teenage mothers, that all of that obviously has to happen before the four Earthlings look at a hotel.
Right.
But in this particular story, the way it is written, it does start there because they don't have any of that real backstory.
Nope. But see, I thought you would have been mostly embarrassed by the mostly harmless joke that started the whole thing.
I just ignored it.
I thought you might.
Well, there's another thing, too. So they introduce Michael Palin as being the voice of the Encyclopedia Galactica, which is in the universe of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Correct.
It's its main competitor. They want to do a mostly harmless joke, but feel that they cannot use anything close to the word Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so they butcher it and mold it around and force it into some other box. So we know what they're talking about, but they don't actually say Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when it exists in this universe. Like the Babelfish and everything else like we were talking about when we read the book.
Right.
So, do you want to mention what they said about Mostly Harmless?
No.
Okay. Because I didn't write it down. Because
I didn't write it down either. I mean, like you say, it was kind of mushed together and shoved in there.
It was a sad attempt to force in a reference.
Yeah, exactly.
After they introduce the four Earthlings.
Actually, before they left Earth in the story, I do want to mention that Dan makes a comment about the windy wind. And after they make that comment, I wanted to let you know officially that I may have a new favorite word, and that's tauntology.
Tauntology. Okay. Would you like to define it for all of our listeners?
It's as Dan has used it here, windy wind. It's a reference to itself. It's like a circular reference of its own making,
Okay.
How is the wind? It's windy.
Yes.
So, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that they mentioned the word tauntology, and I was like, I like that word.
Okay, so Brian's new favorite word is tauntology, and I will be looking for it in future things that we experience.
Oh, I'm sure we'll come back around to it somehow.
It jumps to the launch ceremony. They have a bunch of nonsense questions asked by female journalists.
Mm-hmm.
They do not mention their cleavages.
No.
And then the journalist asks the tough questions and then follows Leavinus onto the ship, continuing to try to interview him about this launch. And as they're wandering through the ship, just like in the book, things don't seem to be finished and bots are malfunctioning. They offhandedly mentioned a parrot. They didn't run into the worker, but he just mentioned he ran into a worker who mentioned he's looking for his parrot. So there's a lot of hearsay in this in this edition.
Right, exactly.
One of the things I kind of found funny is that Leavinus was being followed around by this journalist and he wanted nothing to do with him. And he found a way to trap him in the elevator and send him on his way. And then he went to go find Titania.
Right.
And then once he got there, she explained what was wrong and told him that Skreleontis did it.
Right.
I like that we're doing this after doing the book because there's so many things that run through your mind. They go by before you can write them down. Mm-hmm. And so you miss a lot of stuff. And then when I'm re-listening to this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is something that I was wondering. So the book states that the ship stood veiled in its attractive pink silk sheeting.
Mm-hmm.
This also starts with the ship veiled. It says the ship was veiled. Since we know that if the keel is on the ground on Earth,
right,
it reaches up into the clouds before it gets to the hull.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some kind of a platform that they're on hull level during this launch ceremony, but how much sheeting was there? And how heavy was it?
Oh, gosh, yeah. It had to be huge.
I bring this point up because it reminded me of this weird fact that I found fascinating.
Okay.
The iconic light orange color of the Space Shuttle external tank came from its natural spray-on foam insulation, which was left unpainted because it added unnecessary weight without significant protection.
Right.
So they don't even paint something to cut down on the weight. And they have a pink cloth the size of a city block draped over that they're going to just like all pull at once and unveil it.
Yeah, it's quite a miracle that chiffony pink cloth they have on there.
And how could you even enjoy what the ship looked like if you're standing next to, like, enjoying the entire city block from standing in a doorway? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't even see everything. So I kind of find that funny, the whole logistics.
Right. And how long would it actually take to fall from the top of that ship all the way down to the bottom?
And you don't want to be in the way.
No, that would be treacherous. So
Leavinus knows that Skreleontis is in the first-class restaurant, so he goes to confront him. And Skreleontis confesses that he's scuttling the ship for the insurance. And they have a fight, and Skreleontis thinks he killed Leavinus and runs away. And he runs past the journalist and tells him about the bomb. And then the parrot knocks him through the handrail into the central well. So this was all a bing, bing, bong. Skreleontis is down the well.
Right.
So then we're back at the launch, and the ship was launched somehow remotely with no passengers or anything because it was its maiden voyage.
Right.
But they never had passengers get on the ship. It's another thing I didn't mention in the book. Like, this was its maiden voyage, and they were doing a launch, and they launched it. But there were no passengers on board yet.
Right. Well, in the book, they do mention the fact that the intention was for it to do some kind of a circle route and return and then get loaded up with the regular vacationers, etc. It is mentioned in the book that way, but it is not mentioned here.
No, it's not mentioned here, and I didn't catch that in the book.
Yep.
But
it's there.
That's like sending the roller coaster around once just to make sure.
I think that's really literally what they were suggesting, But it definitely fit the idea of the scuttling. I mean, would they have wanted to have been mass murderers? I don't think they would have wanted that. So
maybe that's why they scheduled it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Back on Earth, the Starship Titanic arrives on top of Dan and Lucy's hotel. In this, the three of them were abducted rather than going onto the ship willingly.
Right.
And Leavinus got in Nigel's car.
Right.
Again, boom, boom, boom.
and yes, one of the funniest things I think about this particular part of the radio show is where Nigel is calling the police officer. And Nigel describes the gentleman getting in the car and all this kind of thing. And the police officer's like, well, none of that sounds illegal. So I tell you what, do feel free to call back when something actually illegal happens. And he says, perhaps a little tonic with it next time, sir. So they slid in the gin and tonic reference.
Yes.
Just like that, implying that Nigel was rip-roaring drunk.
Right. So on the ship, they are issued their pets or their personal electronic thingies and discover that they have a class problem. Dan's trying to get upgrades. Lucy goes to find oxygen. And Nettie goes to the engine room and finds the bomb and gets sucked through the window containing the black hole. And it was about that fast, too.
Yep. That's about right.
I did like that whenever they talked about the bomb, and every time the bomb said it was a mega scuttler, it added TM.
Yes.
For trademark. Every time. And it didn't get old.
Right.
And then they would do it for a couple of other things later. But yeah, so the bomb is a mega scuttler. TM. Lucy meets the journalist and goes to the engine room. At least in this, the confusion is over what the button was labeled that resulted in the journalist wanting a cinnamon cappuccino. So it wasn't a weird thing about a dog. He thought he was going to get a cappuccino. He thought it was the Drink-O-Matic thing. What is it called? Nutramatic.
The Nutramatic.
He thought it was the Nutramatic machine.
Yep,
exactly. He wanted to get himself a cappuccino.
And I do like the reference. They did talk about one of the gentlemen being in his office jacuzzi.
Yes. Yep.
While receiving orders. And then while Lucy is waiting for the gondolier, I'm not sure why they did it this way. They are British after all, so there must have been some humor in it. But as the gondola comes up to her, she says, I think my boat just came in. And I'm like, boat? Isn't the joke ship?
Yes.
I'm like, oh, okay, that must be British humor that I just missed.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So again, they all meet in the embarkation lobby, and Lucy was choking the rude desk bot, and that is what freed Nettie from the grip of the black hole. And then she upgraded everybody to first class, because when she was spinning around in the black hole, she gained several million light years of travel miles.
And it was about that fast.
Yes.
There, I said it for you. You didn't have to say it this
time. Thank you. I was just going to copy and paste my first.
Oh, I tell you what, though, I got a kick out of this. And I'm like, I had to listen to this like 5 times. And I wasn't even sure at the end of that whether I was correct or not. Because, again, they just came this close. When Nettie goes to the sauna, okay, and she's introducing herself to the sauna bot, whatever, the sauna bot lists off a list of sauna specialties that were available. Among them were nose hair clippings.
Yep.
And nipple shading.
Okay.
And then the one that kept me listening over and over again was a gentle slap with a chaffish. Now, I said that the way I kind of heard it, but as it turns out, the word is actually chaffinch.
Okay.
Which is a small, colorful bird that is very common in the UK.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, oh, a gentle slap with a small, colorful bird. So all these Monty Python people, and it wasn't a fish?
Yes. Yes. But it almost sounds like fish.
It does. I thought, okay, they must be joking about a slapping fish here.
Yeah,
but
the fish slap.
In fact,
dance.
it was a bird. It
was a bird.
They just missed it by that much.
Right.
But again, I think they did it on purpose.
Yep. So while Nettie was doing that spa thing, the other three go to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And on the bridge, there is no captain. Or rather, a wholly and completely absence of something resembling a captain. And this is because Brabastagon could sniff out a smef and jumped ship.
Right.
He left a message.
Mm-hmm.
So long, and thanks for all the fish paste sandwiches.
Yep, I got that one.
Who was the message for? Since the ship was about to blink out of existence.
I don't know.
Okay.
For the devotees of Douglas Adams, that's who the message is for.
Right.
But I did also get a kick out of the fact that when Lucy went down to the engine room and was trying to gain access to the engine room, she whips out her John Lewis loyalty card. And I'm like, what the heck is a John Lewis loyalty card? Well, I looked it up. John Lewis is a department store in England. It's got some kind of a little hoity-toity from what I can tell from the website. It still exists. I think it has like 3 or 4 locations. But I got the biggest kick out of it because I was like, well, what can this loyalty card get you? And they have a loyalty option.
Okay.
That you can get if you have this card and have enough points. And what you will get is that this reward entitles you to 1 regular hot coffee and a serving of cake. In addition, a milk alternative is included.
Oh, all right.
So this is what you could expect from your John Lewis loyalty card.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So when the captain jumped ship, they said what happened to him, and they're able to force in 2 more hitchhiker references.
Right.
So they said that he miscalculated his destination coordinates and ended up in a parallel universe on an almost identical ship, except everything was slightly to the left and mauve.
Yes. And your other moniker, is a good reference for that.
Right.
Have we even mentioned that in the podcast ever?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
like way in the beginning, like first episodes or whatever.
Do you think anybody will remember?
No.
Shall we remind them?
No. We're going to skip right over that. We're not going to worry about any of that.
Oh, man, that's no fun. Okay.
So at this point, they are attacked by the Yasikins, who are claiming that they are the rightful owners of the ship because they built it and were not paid for it. And they destroy it and repair it and destroy it and repair it. And then they also describe the simulated destruction, or SD gun, which gives you all the pleasure of blowing somebody to bits without actually blowing them to bits.
So did you, I'm sure you caught the reference to more of our Monty Python friends here, right?
Okay.
As Captain Bullfast comes onto the ship, and he is actually taunting the rest of the crew that is there. He says, "You scummy little life forms." And did his accent not remind you of the French soldiers from Monty Python?
He did have a very French accent.
But it's funny because it didn't actually maintain its Frenchness as it went on. It kind of morphed into some kind of a Germany French that I didn't quite get, you know?
Yeah.
But I did love the fact that they got the housed end joints in there as one of their jokes.
Yes, they did. Yeah. So Nettie arrives, and she's all revitalized after her spa treatment. And Captain Bullfast and all the Yasikins fall in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, while I'm listening to this, it does kind of bug me, or it's been bugging me, that they keep basically explaining that the ship they are currently on blinked out of existence, but nobody is questioning why they're there.
Right.
Like, if they just said the SMEF in the beginning and never referred to it again, that would be one thing. But they're continually reminding us that it blinked out of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, there they are.
It never actually failed to exist.
Right. So they are met by the Blorontinian loss adjusters, and they are claiming that they have the rights to the ship since they had to pay out the insurance money, I guess, after its existence failure. There is another battle where the Blorontinians run away due to live fire. Dan, Lucy, Nettie, and the journalist run into the engine room, and Nettie gets the bomb to start the countdown for the last time.
Right.
So now that the bomb is in its final countdown, they're going to try to defuse it.
I do like the fact that Bullfast reminds Nettie that they are a marauding band of bloodthirsty craftsmen.
Right, yes. But because of a lack of an internal cyber system, defusing the bomb just forces it to go into doomsday mode. I did like that they said that the confusion of the Dormillion day is because the multiple suns and moons have erratic and inconsistent orbits.
Yes, that was one of the questions that was answered in the BBC show that was left wide open in the book.
Yes, but it does beg another question, which is, of all of the time frames you could use to calculate doomsday mode, why would it be the Dormillion day?
Well, it is a Dormillion bomb, isn't it?
Is it?
I thought it was, yes.
Oh, it is Dormillion. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do a rephrase. If the doomsday mode is going to count down in Dormillion days, why would you buy a Dormillion bomb? Where no day is the same length.
That's right. Oh boy. I tell you, it's interesting because the only other story I've ever read or listened to or heard about, and I've done all three of those, is the three-body problem, where the days are random and or non-sequential. So it's a fascinating concept that you'd have rotations that are not synchronous.
Right. So they realize that they have to replace the piece that Leavinus has to cancel the doomsday mode. And Nettie decides that now is a good time to tell Dan and Lucy that Nigel screwed them. Just, I don't know if things are bad enough yet for you, so just let you know. Nigel did not sell your company for anywhere near what he told you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. And this was all as they were about to land on Yarsica.
Yes.
And it's funny, I don't want to use the exact phrase, but they basically described the landscape of Yarsica like you were walking into an IKEA.
Right.
with laminated shelves, and they do mention here that one of the things that's required of a visitor is that they bring a socket set with them.
Right. Right. When Nettie was telling Dan and Lucy that they'll never be able to afford the hotel, so they shouldn't worry about it being smashed, it did remind her that she took a picture of the hotel at night, and they can use the stars to get back to Earth.
Right, right. And just before that, they are discussing the fact that they are in bad shape. And Bullfast says, yes, it's a real catch-18.
Right.
Okay, so at least we haven't had to hear the things that you dreaded the most within the book was the constant reminder that there's a translation error between Earthlings and alien beings. But here,
Right.
they got to stick catch 18? I'm like, all right, we'll give you that one.
So they're having this party on Yasica, and did you catch the cuisine?
No, I think I missed something.
The party featured Dentrasi crab sticks.
I did miss that. Oh my goodness, how could I possibly have missed it? I listened to it enough times that I should have heard that one. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, a couple of them all just crammed in there. But again, they use the Dentrasi, which is in the universe. So
right.
they've got to be, I don't know why they just don't commit.
Mm-hmm.
They also say that Earth is at ZZ9, plural Z Alpha.
Yep, they do that indeed.
Yep, so I like that. They do go to Nigel's.
Oh, come on now.
What?
Well, you missed the big one. The big obvious letdown, right?
Okay, well, that's what you're here for.
The big obvious letdown. I walked right into that one, didn't I? All right. So they're having the party, and Nettie realizes that she took the picture and that might help them locate the star system and return to Earth, and it's on her phone. So she runs over to where they're holding a raffle.
Yes.
Because here on this version of Yarsica, you're supposed to steal your guests' personal belongings and then raffle them off.
Right.
So they're in the middle of the raffle. Her phone is the object that's being raffled off. And they pull ticket number
43. You can't get mad. We use that joke.
That's true.
We use the joke.
We do. So, there they slapped it back at us, right?
Yes, they did. So they go to Nigel's, and he tells them that he brought Leovinus to the Oxford police station.
Mm-hmm.
They get him, they get the shard, they go back to the ship, they repair Titania, they defuse the bomb. All uneventful. It was just, okay.
Yep.
This one's on rails.
That's right. And it was kind of funny, though, that as Nettie is walking in on Nigel is scamming someone out of their credit card number and CVC code.
Yes. Right. You mean he wasn't just an Etsy seller that was trying to just complete a purchase? No?
Oh, man. I thought it was funny.
Oh, it was. It definitely was. And then I guess I kind of like this and I understand it because no matter how they end it, somebody's going to say, I don't like the way it ended. So he states, Michael Palin that is, of the many alternate endings are, so these are just some of the alternate endings. Whatever ending you're hoping happened. Yes.
They're multiverse, it happened everywhere.
Yes. They couldn't possibly list them all.
Mm-hmm.
So Nettie becomes the CEO of Starship Titanic Hotel, which is funny because she was not part of the ownership of the hotel on Earth.
No, she wasn't.
Dan and Lucy got married.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, kept his hands to himself this whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And the parrot broke through the fourth speaker and became face-to-face with the Encyclopedia Galactica.
Mm-hmm.
The parrot was disappointed in the happy endings. The Encyclopedia Galactica pushed a large, friendly button labeled, in case of emergency, and the Starship Titanic was reconfigured into a computer game.
Exactly.
Which I guess is kind of funny, except for the fact that I can't say it would be easy to play the Starship Titanic now.
No.
Yes, there's a site you can go to with versions of old computer games that they have somehow put in some kind of flash program that will let you play it on your computer now. But this is 2021 and they're almost promoting a computer game. If somebody didn't realize this was a computer game, they might go, oh, let me find this game. But you can't.
Right. Oh my gosh. And thus ends the tale. And it's funny because before either of us listened to this, we were asking ourselves and each other, how could they possibly cram all of this information into 1 hour? Well, they did it. And the primary way that they did it, they removed all sexuality from the book.
Yes. Right.
They removed all of the overwrought jokes about improperly translated information.
Yes.
They removed all the personalities of the 4 major players.
Yes.
They had absolutely no personality. Obviously, they were well performed. I mean, I'm not complaining about the performance at all. In fact, I like the BBC in general. Dirk Maggs did an awesome job. Again, I got to contribute to all of the changes that came from the book into this play as something that Dirk would have directed. So there again, it's really listenable. I mean, I probably enjoyed it more than I enjoyed the book. I hate to say that, but I kind of did.
There's no fat.
No, you're right.
So when I started listening to this, I was a little bit worried because primary and secondary phase are both 6-hour-long broadcasts, and then tertiary, quandary, quintessential, hexagonal, they're either 4 or 6 or whatever. And then when we got to the Dirk Gently, they were doing the 2 stories in 3-episode blocks.
Right.
I thought this was just going to be one of multiples.
Right.
I thought that we were going to go and listen to this thinking it was everything, and it was only going to be part 1 of 3 or 4 or 6 because there's a lot to cram in. They also removed, as we mentioned, the passage of time.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to comment about too. At the end here, that's one of the things that they probably missed a little bit of. Not sure how they would have done it directly, but you're right. You had no sense of time passing, and that probably is to the detriment of the story.
Yeah, but I would say that I'll agree that that was definitely a detriment, but to me the biggest detriment is removing all of the personalities from our 4 main characters.
Yeah.
You don't care about them.
No.
You could care less about Nettie. Nettie went into the black hole and she came out old. Okay. You had no idea who she was before. Like,
right.
You know, she was this young, vibrant, sexy, crop shirt wearing woman who then came out this old haggard lady.
Right.
You know, you feel sorry for Nettie. She lost everything that she identified with. And then, well, no, nothing. And then there's Lucy and Dan. There's no tension between them at all because they're a happy couple that ends up getting married at the end.
Right. Yep.
So losing all of that, to me, takes more away from the story than the passage of time. Like, I could sacrifice the passage of time to keep the personalities.
Right. I don't know what else to say about that, except that I'm not sure how they would have related that, but they could have done something like you say. With Nettie, they could have introduced her as, you know, the star, like they did when they went up to the desk and said, oh, she's such and such the famous actress, you know, and they could have pumped that a little to make her look, at least seem or appear beautiful before she became aged, like you said. Things like that.
And that's not the only part, though.
No.
But the point was, do a 3 or 4 part show where you can put all of that stuff in as it is in the book. You know, put a little tension between the characters. Oh no, is one of them going to stay behind on Yasica instead of going home to Earth?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it sounds like we both agree that the story was kept true to the book and was improved by the removal of a lot of unnecessary things that bothered us in the book. However,
absolutely.
removing too much kind of removed the soul of the book, and it just became a manual
Yes.
more than a novel.
I agree 100%. That's clearly what we think. So, Jeff, now that we've reviewed this broadcast of the BBC, what do we have next?
Well, next, I think we are going to try to tackle the computer game Starship Titanic.
Wow.
We've both played it. I don't think we're going to play it again, but there are plenty of walkthroughs that we can watch. Or we might not. And it might be something completely different, but if I was a betting man, I would bet on the computer game.
Okay, Jeff, just like you say, I think that's a great idea.
Good. And now that that is out of the way, I think I'm going to say that this is the end. Thank you for listening to this. A new episode is released on the first Thursday of every month. Visit our website at digitalwatchesareaprettyneatidea.buzzsprout.com. While there, you can find links to all of my Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy inspired t-shirt designs. You can contact us via email at digitalwatchespodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook at Digital Watches Are a Pretty Neat Idea. You can message us on Twitter, or should I say X, at Watches Idea. And our Instagram is Watches Idea Podcast.
This has been a Fruits for Thought production, darling. This has been a Fruits for Thought production, darling. This has been a Fruits for Thought production, darling. This has been a Fruits for Thought production, darling. This has been a Fruits for Thought production, darling.